Hello again. In this lesson, we'll show you how to work with parameters and subpages through the app interface. Open the Web Pages section on the platform, then open the Library page, and add a new tab which we'll call All Books. After that, rename the old Library tab to Authors. Now add a new section and drag a table view component into it. Select the Get All Books endpoint, which returns all objects from the book's structure. Next, let's see how parameters work. For this example, we'll use this one, myParam, and it's in the Table View component. This parameter allows you to filter by author and only display books by a specific author, for example, Leo Tolstoy. To do this, copy the author's ID and paste it into the parameter value field. This approach is handy when you need to use the same endpoint for multiple components. When configuring the endpoint, you must add a filter for the value of this parameter. It should look like this: http request.myparam. The author ID field must equal the parameter's value. To learn more about how this works, see the API Request Parameters tutorial. And as you can see, it worked. The filter is only showing books by Leo Tolstoy. Let's change that parameter value to Alexander Pushkin. Again, as you can see, everything's working well. Now you know how to use parameters in components. Next, let's find out how subpages and navigation work within the app. Remove the filter to again show all objects from the book structure. Next, open the Page Settings tab and add this parameter, book_ID. You can add one or more parameters using a /. This parameter has a subpage. You can display the default layout or create your own for this particular subpage. Add a simple caption to this layout, something like "This is a book page." Go back to the app and add a / and any line, and you can now see you're on the subpage. We'll now configure the Table View component to open this subpage instead of the object card. Open Table View Settings and go to the Object tab. Select the Open the object on a subpage of the current page in the Object View Settings. To check what we've done, go to the Library page and click on any book. It worked. We now see the subpage and, as expected, the URL contains the object ID. Now let's see how to get back to the list with all objects. You'll need to use the Link Button component. The label field is the text that will appear on the button. Next, choose the color, normal or accent, and then a link. If you type 2 dots and a slash, you'll go higher in the URL, which means -1 level. For now, we won't be using the template engine, although it is handy. But we will look at how to use it for buttons at the end of this video. Okay, let's see if the changes have worked out. Click on the object and go back to the list with all objects. There's one subtle point you need to be aware of. If the page you're working on is a home page, meaning it has minimal weight and will be the start page when the app is opened, you'll find yourself looking at an empty page because there's a level missing in the URL. To make the component work properly, go to the Table View Settings and select Open the object on a subpage of another page in the Object View Settings, and specify that part of the URL. That is, the name of the page, and in this case, it's library. Let's see if it worked. Great! Everything is working as it should. And now you know how subpages and navigation work. So we'll now turn to configuring a subpage to display information about a book, how to edit it if needed, and how to display related objects. Let's add the form component to this subpage. You'll need an API endpoint that works with the book's structure. It will be public, so you'll need to remove all security layer conditions. Now add title, poster, recommendation, and ID as fields available for reading. Add the API endpoint in the form settings and configure its fields. As you can see, all these fields are available for reading. You'll also need to enable this setting: display and edit the existing object. The object ID is taken from the URL. In this example, the component is only used for display purposes. If you add the ID or recommendation as fields available for writing, you'll be able to edit the object. Remember, if you want to edit an object, the ID must be available for both reading and writing. Now you see that the recommendation is available for reading and writing. Let's open the app. Yes, you can change and save the recommendation. That's how to edit an object on a subpage. Let's move on to a more complex topic: how to use HTML code and Markdown text components on a subpage. You can disable editing directly in the form. Next, let's remove the form and use the HTML code component, where you can use the template engine and select a specific endpoint. Select the Get Book Details endpoint. It returns details of a book. And in the field itself, you can enable the template engine. To do that, use a special tag, content or content head. The content tag returns all objects from the endpoint, and the content head tag only returns the first object. Here, similar to scenarios, you can use the template engine, which returns fields that are available for reading in the selected endpoint. Now you've added the book title and the poster using tags. Perfect! Next, let's add the author ID field as available for reading. This is a linked object that contains the first and last names of the author. Now you can add a level 2 header with the first and last name by selecting author_ID and following a link to author_ID.firstname and author_ID.lastname. Let's check it all once again. And yes, great, it works. Next, let's see how to work with multiple objects that you get using the content tag instead of the content head tag. Let's temporarily hide the section by making it visible only to users who have the hidden role. And as there aren't any, the section will stay hidden. Then add the Markdown text component. It works just like the HTML code component. Use the template engine and select the Get All Authors endpoint, which returns, you guessed it, all the authors. Now add the tag and add a level 2 header with this author's first and last names. Save it and see how it looks in the app. And now, we see the list. Next, let's see how to work with array links. It's the same principle as in scenarios. You need to use a special structure that includes opening and closing tags. The first tag must contain a £, and the second a /. All that remains is to specify a list of book titles. Now you know how HTML code and Markdown text components work on subpages and endpoints. We'll move on now to add another block to the subpage for leaving comments. It will contain a form component and a card component. You'll display objects specifically related to this book on this subpage. We'll add another section at the bottom. Inside the section, you can adjust the column layout, both horizontally and vertically, and configure the section separately for tablet, desktop, or mobile viewing. Now add a form component for leaving comments on a book. But first, you need a data structure for comments. Create that and configure its fields. There will be a link to the user who left the comment, a link type field, the comment itself, a string type field, then a link to the book that the comment was about, also a link type field to the book structure, and the date, a date type field. Remember that you can set the date format to your preferred configuration. Go to the API section and create a new endpoint. It will be used in the form for comments. This endpoint won't be public, because it will store the ID of the user who left the comment. The who commented field, but this will be hidden and automatically recorded like this. Next, the comment field and the book field. But you can't directly specify the book. For that, you need to use this technique. You won't write the field directly, but you will write the current URL, a regular string type field. Add this field to the endpoint as available for writing and, in the form settings, specify it to store the current URL as a default value. This field won't appear in the form itself either. It's time to test the component. Here's the form for leaving comments. Let's write that The Brothers Karamazov is a good book. Go to the comment structure and a new object has appeared with the current URL. Next, you need to use a scenario to fill in two fields, the date it was added and a link to the book. Create a new scenario for this structure, which will be triggered by all new objects. If you haven't learned the scenarios tutorial from the 101 crash course yet, you can skip this part for now and come back to it later. The first step fills in the date. Type now using coding mode. Don't forget to add comments. The second step will also use JavaScript to pass the URL. And there is the URL. You'll need to use JavaScript. You can activate it using the Ctrl+J hotkey. The field is a regular string, so you need to put quotes around it. Now split it using the split/ function, and take the fourth object in the array. That's the ID. You split the string, got the array, and took the fourth component. Let's test the scenario and run an object using the debug menu. Look at this object's fields in the logs. As you can see, everything is correct. You have the date and the ID of the book to which the comment refers. Next, set up the display of comments on a particular book. Create a new endpoint and make it public. Add the ID, who left the comment itself, and the date fields as available for reading. Be sure to add a filter. You need a filter to be certain that the book field is equal to the parameter's value. The parameter is what you specified in the page settings, the book ID, and it's obtained from the URL. Next, go back to the book page. First, make the form available to registered users only, and for unregistered users, add a warning that authorization is required. You can use the hint component for that. Let's see how it works. Go to the book page where we see that you need to log in. Go to the sign-in page. Enter your username and password. Yes, the form is now available. OK, now add another section and a new card component. It will show all comments about the book. Select the endpoint you just created and configure the card. The card will have the comment text and the date. Let's check it by adding a new comment. Now you see the ID as a visible name. Go to the comment structure and its settings. Choose the Who Commented field as a visible name. Save the changes and check. Everything is correct. Now you know how to place cards or a table on subpages. And the last thing we're going to look at in this lesson is navigating with templating in buttons. For example, you might want to have a link from a book to another book, like the next book to read. So you'll need to add a new field, next_book_ID. It will be a link to the book structure. Save the changes, and now add the ID of Anna Karenina to The Idiot. Then add this field to the endpoint as available for reading. Go back to the page settings and add a button. Type Next Book in the label field. Now use the template engine. Select the Get Book Details endpoint. And in the link to the field, using the content head tag, add 2 dots and a /. That means to go back. Then add the book ID, which means you go up the URL and then drop down to the book subpage. It's all good. The link works. If the field isn't filled in, you'll just go up one level in the URL. That's all for now, so get practicing, and we'll see you in the next lessons.